And I get lots of messages from people, messaging me saying, your gratitude cards have just really helped me. When I see that it's impacting more and more people to understand that then when they feel grateful, they're then passing it on.
What I've learned is that when I do lean into gratitude in doing that more and more, I get to tune in to like the better version of me.
Taking time to reflect on the idea that I don't have forever.
Yeah.
I find myself leaning into gratitude more.
But I get to do this, and I get to have 5 minutes every morning to breathe, sit, drink my coffee, and maybe think about 5 things that I'm grateful for.
Hey Nation, welcome to the Living Richly podcast. We're so excited you've joined us again today. We are dialing into gratitude today, and not just as a concept, but how to live it daily, deeply, and especially when life gets messy. And we've got the whole crew here to talk about this today. But we're really zeroing in on Kate and Get To mindset. That's been, for me anyway, and for several of us, a mindset that's really been revolutionary. And those damn gratitude cards of yours, those new cards of yours, these are not just like nice to haves. They're like a real game changer. I call them
They're get to have.
I get to have. Oh, nice. Nicely done. Nicely done. But let's dive right in. And Kate, question for you is, what do you think is the real key from moving from simply knowing gratitude and the daily practice of it? And how did this spark the creation of Get To and the gratitude cards?
Yeah, great question. It's almost like I knew I was coming. No, but honestly, for me, when I realized like living gratitude was like this amazing, almost addictive thing.
Yeah.
And when I started to practice gratitude more and more, for me, it's like it's really replacing a negative thought pattern with a positive one really quickly. And the amount of joy and almost like euphoria for me that I got out of practicing gratitude for a long time was like so addictive to me, and I wanted to share it with as many people as I could, right? And so when I founded Get To mindset, it was really for me about how can I share it, but how do I share that like high, that like what took me like years to get to really quickly with someone. So how can I get them to switch, get them to switch from that I have to statement into that I get to statement. So which really, we'll talk about it today, but it is, you feel it in your body, you feel it in your bones. So how can I do that quickly? And Get To mindset was founded with a simple like word switch. And I have to go to the grocery store. I get to go to the grocery store, and we'll dive into it. And then the cards were just like, how do I make it even easier for people who don't, they're like, they hear the word like gratitude journal and they're like, I'm not going to do all that. So created the gratitude cards to help almost like to give someone an idea of something they might be grateful for.
They're almost habit inducing, right? Because they're so simple and it's such a clean concept. You just pull one every day, and again, every day it forms a habit. And I love that's the kind of the model that you created.
Yeah,
so great.
I think people think gratitude has to be a big thing, and that's why I created like the simple models. Yeah. But the science shows that like micro moments of gratitude in your day really add up, and it's the same health benefits. You sleep better, you have lower stress levels, and it's all scientifically documented. But I think people think like, I'm not going to write in a gratitude journal. I don't want to sit there and tell someone why I'm so grateful for them. Like it just feels like it has to be big and like super meaningful, and it's not always about that. It's infusing little bits of gratitude into your day.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
What about for you guys? I'm curious. Yeah.
Well, I think for that, you said the science, we know this, the more we've studied the brain now, the rewiring that happens. And when you shift language is the most critical way to rewire a brain is to change your language, change your thoughts. And the more you make that shift, all of a sudden your outlook on everything changes when you just simply shift language from I have to, I should, to I get to.
Yes.
For me, I think I spent so much of my life like in a constant state of like, what's next, right? Fixing fires, solving problems, pushing through pain, like, and so stopping to say, oh, I'm grateful for this, just felt so counterintuitive, especially when it was like going through something more difficult, right? But that's really changed for me, and you've been a big part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think society, for a long time and even more so focuses on fixing problems rather than really just appreciating the moments that we have. And to your point, it doesn't have to be a big thing. I find when it's, people just get too overwhelmed because it's one more thing they have to do on their to-do list versus, but I get to do this and I get to have 5 minutes every morning to breathe, sit, drink my coffee and maybe think about 5 things that I'm grateful for, or use the cards, which is such a great tool to just tie that back into recentering themselves for the day.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you've created these tools and this framework, obviously, to make gratitude practice more accessible to people. But I'm curious, like, how has your gratitude practice for each of you evolved over time? And did it feel unnatural at first, right? Did it feel forced or unnatural?
Oh my God, so I love that we're having this discussion. We did a gratitude episode a long time ago, so I'm curious to know if yours has evolved, because I think it's really, I know mine has, even from when we did that show. Yeah. I know for me at the beginning, it feels awkward as fuck. I'm sorry, but like it really does. It feels super unnatural. It doesn't feel authentic. I'm grateful, and you don't feel good about it. But over time, the more you practice gratitude, and what I've learned is the more you move from the what you're grateful for to why you're grateful for it. That is where the magic happens. It's when you connect the heart and mind together. When you start saying, we might start really broad early, like I'm grateful for my kids. That's great. That's a fantastic statement. But then you say it up here and you're cerebral, but feel it. When you say, I get to love my kids, or I get to spend time with my kids. And then you start to dig into that. Well, what does that feel like when you picture yourself spending time with your kids? What are you doing? What are you in that moment? And when you can actually feel the heart and connect it to the mind statement, that's the power of gratitude.
I think you defined it really well. That's what the shift was for me. For me, so I grew up in a home where, with all of the trouble, and I've shared my story and all of the stuff that went on in my life, I was raised by my mom was somebody who had that gratitude mindset, and it didn't matter what was going on in her life. It didn't matter what was happening. She always looked at it from the opportunity that was there, and she did see life through a gratitude lens. So I was raised with that, so it was a natural thing for me, but it wasn't deliberate. And I love what you just said there, because I think right from when I was a young kid, I would tend to be more grateful for things but I didn't understand why. And when I started, and so what was weird, what was hard, what was awkward was the pausing to say, this is why I'm grateful for that. This is what that means for me, because I just hadn't taken that thought of the concepts behind it.
Yeah, well, I mean, so we use the cards on a regular basis since they were released, but one of the cool things that the two of us started doing before the cards were even available, they were still a work in progress at the time, is daily we have a spreadsheet or a shared document where we every day write something down that we're grateful for. And it started first, we would text it to each other. Sometimes we still do that, but it always ends up in this document. And we're on, as of today, 123 days of gratitude. Now, do we do it every single day? No. And I have to admit, be perfectly honest, when you suggested that, I was like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. And then we start getting into the practice of it. And there were days where I was like, I got to try to force myself to find something to be grateful for, and feeling sort of mildly annoyed that I need to write it down. Right? Like, it was because it wasn't part of my practice. But now there are days, again, it's quite natural. I have a reminder on my phone every morning to do it. Now there are days I don't, and we forget. You forget, I forget. But then it gives me the opportunity to go back. Like this week has been a particularly busy week, and I just fell out of the daily practice of it. But I know what's going to happen is this weekend I'm going to sit down and I'm going to revisit Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and identify, go back off and I look at my calendar. I remind myself of what was going on that day and find one thing to be grateful for. And I tell you, it's a powerful, powerful practice that you can be grateful for something that's upcoming or something that's already happened. But that daily practice is a real game changer. 123 days.
I'm glad you know the number. I didn't know the number.
I know the number. Well, I looked it up.
my ask of Eric was for 365 days. I want us to do it for a year and write, like, originally it was a text. Can we just text each other what we're grateful for every day? And then it turned into a document because I was copying and pasting the text. And I'm like, I can't do this for 365 days. Can we just do the document?
Third of the way there already. Third of the way there.
Yeah, which feels like no time. And it's pretty amazing to go back and read all of those. You know, you reflect on a year of gratitude, and it's a very powerful reflection tool too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I think for me, it goes back to when I had my accident back in 2018 and really just dialing into working my gratitude routine as like a muscle, like I was rebuilding from my accident. So it started to become easier. It started to flow better. And it just became part of my habits every day. That. But to your point, it doesn't get done every single day, and that's okay. I think it's about that progress, not perfection, where
100%.
a lot of people will think like, well, if I'm not doing it one day, then I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Right, exactly.
It's up.
I'm doing gratitude wrong.
Yeah.
Well, that's
exactly.
the fear.
Totally.
It's the same. It's like if you go, I'm going to go to the gym, and you don't go one day, and the next thing you haven't gone for 5 days because you missed one day. It's the same thing.
Well, what
you're not
saying?
failing.
If you have one flat tire, what do you do? Get out and slash the other floor? We do that all the time, though, don't we? It's like, again, this progress versus perfection, but it's not been a perfect practice, but the practice of it has really made a huge difference.